Vladimir Putin thinks he can outlast us and outlast Ukraine. The message out of Capri is he can't and will not. We are determined as a G7 to continue our strong support for Ukraine.
This is my video update on this Monday afternoon, April the 22nd. Let's talk about some news and what a difference 24 hours makes. What a difference from yesterday when the U.S. House was celebrating the approval of money to Project Ukraine, when the collective West was celebrating the imminent defeat of Russia and of Putin, now that $61 billion had been approved to the Zelensky regime. Everyone was celebrating. Everyone was saying that this is the end of Russia. This is the end of the Putin. And now that the money has been approved, the weapons will start to flow to the Zelensky regime, and Russia will be defeated. And 24 hours later, you have a much different narrative. A much different narrative from NBC News. Zelensky, we will have a chance at victory thanks to weapons provided to Ukraine in a new U.S. aid package. From Bloomberg, U.S. aid gives Kiev respite, but battlefield shift remains far off. Uh-oh. What is Bloomberg saying here? BBC, Ukraine aid package could help Kiev slow Russia's advance. Slow Russia's advance. Just yesterday, they were talking about defeating the Putin, the evil Putin, Marxist dictator, socialist, libertarian, animal lover, Putin dictator is going to be defeated. Ukraine is our border. And now the BBC is saying Ukraine aid package could help Kiev slow Russia's advance? Russia's advance? What are they talking about? I thought it was a stalemate. What are they talking about slowing Russia's advance? I don't understand. I'm really confused. Let's see what the BBC is reporting. The past 6 months have not only revealed Russia's dominance, but Europe's inability to provide the same level of support as the US. We need to think about this hypothetical eventuality. The next package of US aid might not pass, says Mykola Bileskov, a research fellow at the Ukraine National Institute for Strategic Studies. That's why it's up to the UK and continental Europe to increase weapon production to meet Ukraine's requirement. As for a realistic goal for this year for Kiev, Mykola hopes this American aid will help stabilize the front lines. What are they talking about? Stabilize the front lines. I thought the front lines were stable. I thought it was a stalemate. Russia's dominance? What? The past 6 months have not only revealed Russia's dominance, but the tatters. That's what you were telling me, Ursula. Tatters. You know, Biden, ruble, rubble, shovels, washing machine chips. Putin, 24 heart attacks. Shoigu, 25 heart attacks. What are they talking about? I don't get it. I really don't get it. I'm so confused. Maybe The Guardian can help out. How might U.S. aid change the war in Ukraine? Oh, and The Guardian has interviewed military master analyst Ben Hodges. Let's see what The Guardian is saying. Experts do not expect Ukraine to turn around the battlefield position in 2024. The main point is that this funding can probably only help stabilize the Ukrainian position for this year and begin preparations for operations in 2025, said Matthew Saville of the Rusi military think tank. While Ben Hodges argued that 2024 was probably the year of industrial competition, where both sides tried to build up resources in an attempt to strike a decisive blow next year. Wait a minute. Wait 1 minute here. The main point is that this funding can probably only help stabilize the Ukrainian position? What? What? What are they talking about, man? Can probably only help stabilize. Okay, now Ben Hodges, just a couple of weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago, Ben Hodges was saying that Ukraine is going to capture all of Crimea. Isn't that what Ben Hodges said just a couple of months ago? Am I not remembering something? I don't know. Maybe I'm not remembering something. Maybe that was a different Hodges. I don't know. I don't know, but here in this Guardian article, he's saying that 2024 was probably the year of industrial competition, where both sides tried to build up resources in an attempt to strike a decisive blow next year. Next year. I don't know. I swear Ben Hodges was telling you that Crimea is gone. Zelensky's going to capture Crimea. I'm positive that's what Ben Hodges was reporting. I don't know. Maybe I'm just must not be remembering things. I don't know. My mind, my memory. I'm getting old. Maybe I misinterpreted or misread what Ben Hodges was saying. What does the Financial Times have to say about all of this? Kiev has no time to lose in deploying U.S. weapons. Zelensky warns. Ukrainian officials reportedly believe the $61 billion package is unlikely to dramatically alter Kiev's situation on the front line. What? But yesterday they broke out the little Ukraine flags in the U.S. House and they chanted, Zelensky, Zelensky, Slava, Slava, Zelensky, Zelensky. I don't get it. I really don't get it. 24 hours later, the Financial Times is telling us that this $61 billion package is unlikely to dramatically alter Kiev's situation on the front line. I just don't understand. I thought the $61 billion, I thought that was the exact amount that was needed to deliver the final blow to the Putin. I thought it was exactly at 61 billion. I mean, they added up all the numbers. They ran everything through the supercomputers. The AI told us 61 billion. Isn't that what the AI? And Biden is the AI, so Biden's the AI, and it said 61 billion is what's needed to win this conflict. What's changed in 24 hours? I just don't know. I don't know. So Zelensky, he gave an interview to NBC News the other day, and Zelensky told NBC News that Russia plans to capture the town of Chasiv Yar. We know that. We know that, Zelensky. That we know. He said it's going to go the same way as Bakhmut and Donetsk and the other cities that Russia has captured. We know that as well, Zelensky, and that's because your military strategy mirrors the strategy of Bakhmut and Avdiivka, which is to keep on sending reserves into the cities that the Russians are advancing towards in order to try and hold every inch of territory instead of falling back to better defensive positions. So the fact that Russia is going to capture Chasiv Yar in much the same way that they've captured Bakhmut and Avdiivka is very much your fault. brilliant military strategist, Zelensky. By the way, the Ukraine military, it seems over the past couple of days, we've seen a lot more surrenders from the Ukraine military. An uptick in units that are surrendering to the Russian military. But Zelensky then went on to tell NBC News that he appreciates, he's very thankful for the approval of the $61 billion. I think this support will really strengthen the armed forces. I pray, and we will have a chance at victory if Ukraine really gets the weapon systems, which we need so much. So Zelensky, he's asking for more. He is asking for more. He's happy that he's got the money. He's happy that he's going to get the 10 billion loan. He's happy that he's going to get some weapons, some weapon deliveries, but Zelensky is asking for more Patriots, more air defense, more ATACMS. Quote, we want to help get things as fast as possible so that we get some tangible assistance for the soldiers on the front line as soon as possible, not in another 6 months. We need long-range weapons to not lose people on the front lines because we have casualties because we cannot reach that far, he said, adding that another delay would mean more casualties. If we get it in a half a year, we've had the process stalled for half a year, and we've had losses in several directions, losses in men and equipment. Zelensky admitted, however, that Kiev's victory is far from assured. Now we have the chance to stabilize the situation, he stated. There are so many variables, so many factors. So many variables and so many factors. Yep. Listen, NBC. There's many variables and many factors. So we stabilize front and we buy some homes. This is what 61 billion will do. It will stabilize front and buy a couple homes. Many variables, many factors. NBC. That's the narrative. 6-month delay. There was a 6-month delay. No weapons were being sent. Not one bullet was being sent for 6 months until a funding package was approved. And now that they've got the 61 billion, they can stabilize the situation, slow down the Russian advance. Now, if you believe that the United States was not sending any weapons to Ukraine for the last 6 months, well, I've got a big, beautiful tree to sell you in Greece. Yeah. They've been sending weapons for the last 6 months. Whatever weapons they've had, whatever weapons they could give, the United States has been sending those weapons over the last 6 months. The problem, the way I see it, the problem was that the MIC, they were sending weapons to Ukraine, and they were not getting paid. Or at least Ukraine wasn't paying for these weapons, you see, and so they had an open position in their accounting. That's why you don't have any audits. That's why they're so against audits, because all of these companies were sending weapons and sending weapons and sending weapons, and the Biden White House was telling them just keep on sending. Don't worry, we'll get a funding package approved, and eventually you guys will get paid. And so the MIC companies were sending ATACMS, and we know they were sending ATACMS over the last 6 months because Ukraine has been using ATACMS, and they were sending HIMARS and everything. They were sending whatever they could. Whatever they could send, they were sending to Ukraine. And they were emptying out their inventories and emptying out their stockpiles, and they were waiting on payment. And now they're going to get the 14 billion that's been approved. That'll get sent to Ukraine, and then Ukraine will send that money back to the US, to the MIC companies, and they can close out their position in their books. That's what the 14 billion is for. And the 24 billion, that's going directly to the MIC so they could replenish the inventories that are close to empty from all the weapons that have continued to flow over the past 6 months and over the past 2 years. So that's the reality of the situation, in my opinion, and that is why they want no audit. That is why they want no audit, because if they did an audit, I think Americans would be shocked at knowing that their military has been emptied out, or much of their military has been emptied out. Don't forget about all the weapons going to Israel as well. The MIC companies need money. They need to get paid for the weapons, and they need money to start filling up the empty shelves, the empty stocks. All right, enough of that. Anyway, let's talk about Stoltenberg and NATO. He was speaking to MSNBC, and Stoltenberg said that the Ukrainians have now for months been outgunned, roughly 1-5, 1-10, depending on what part of the front line you are talking about. That is kind of true. It's kind of true. Yes, Ukraine has been outgunned 5-1, 10-1. But Stoltenberg was saying that this has been occurring over the last 6 months, which is not true. That's why I'm saying Stoltenberg's statement is kind of true. Ukraine's been outgunned for 2 years now. This has nothing to do with the 6 month delay in funding. Ukraine has been outgunned over the last 2 years. Some reports say 5-1. Other reports say 10-1. This has been going on for 2 years. I've been reporting on this for 2 years, how Ukraine has been outgunned 10-1, 7-1, 5-1, depending on what reports you go by. But Stoltenberg is making it seem like this is something that has happened over the past 6 months. Nope. Not true, Stoltenberg. Stoltenberg also revealed to MSNBC that Western advisors are stationed at embassies in Kiev. NATO member states have military advisors stationed in their embassies in Ukraine. Stoltenberg told MSNBC in an interview on Sunday. Stoltenberg was asked whether the U.S.-led bloc is planning to send additional personnel to help Kiev in its fight against Russia. Quote, "There are no plans for any NATO combat presence in Ukraine, but of course, several NATO allies have men and women in uniform at the embassies giving advice," he said. And they're at the embassies giving advice because the rules, the international rules-based order has been telling us that over many, many decades that embassies and consulates are off limits. So you send these advisors to Kiev, and where's the safest place to put them? In the embassies, right? That's why they're at the embassies. And they're at the embassies coordinating and planning the conflict with Russia. Supporting, coordinating, planning. That's what these military advisors are doing at the embassies of NATO member states in Kiev. And in the embassies, they're safe. That's why they get sent to the embassies, like what was going on in Syria, right? Military advisors in the embassy in Syria, the Iranian embassy, or the consulate. Same thing. So shifting to Israel and Iran, The weekend has passed, and we did not get another big Israeli strike into Iran, if you consider the drone attacks on Thursday, Friday to have been a big retaliation by Israel. Nothing happened over the weekend. The New York Times is reporting that the Biden White House, they convinced Israel to call off a big retaliation. And what we saw on Thursday and Friday, that was the retaliation. So the weekend passed. We didn't get a huge escalation, a big escalation in the Middle East with Iran and Israel. And the New York Times, they are reporting that Thursday, Friday, that was the one. That was the retaliation. So a bit of de-escalation for the time being. Let's see how long the de-escalation holds. Let's do a clown world and we can wrap this video up. And this is coming from Bloomberg. The second Cold War is escalating faster than the first. To understand what is at stake in the fight against the axis of China, Russia, and Iran, just read The Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings by Niall Ferguson. Let's see what Mr. Niall Ferguson is saying here. In J.R.R. Tolkien's great epic, The Lord of the Rings, it becomes apparent only gradually that the forces of darkness have united. Sauron, with his baleful, all-seeing eye, emerges as the leader of a vast axis of evil. The Black Riders, the corrupted wizard Saruman, the subhuman orcs, the malignant courier Wormtongue, the giant venomous spider Shelob. They are all in it together, and Mordor is their headquarters. Tolkien knew whereof he wrote. A veteran of World War I, he watched with dismay the approach of a second great conflagration, sipping pints of bitter and puffing his pipe in the Shire. His idolized Middle England. He could only shudder as Nazi Germany, Fascist Italy, and imperialist Japan came together to form their Axis in 1936-37 and mutter, "I told you so," when Hitler and Stalin joined forces in 1939. And I think we all know where this article is going. I won't read you the rest. Should I read you the rest? I don't think so. I think we all know where this Mordor, Saruman axis of evil is taking us, huh? Oh, boy. Well, let me read you a little bit. Let me read you a little bit more. We, too, are witnessing the formation and consolidation of an axis. I was vividly reminded of Tolkien by a tweet published by the conservative broadcaster Mark R. Levine on Tuesday. Neocon. It is worth quoting. Appeasement is escalation. Our enemies are on the move. Our allies are being encircled and attacked or soon attacked. Conservatism and MAGA are not about isolationism and pacifism. They're not about appeasement or national suicide. It is up to us, patriotic Americans, to step into the breach and get this done now. Yep, and he talks about Marjorie Taylor Greene. He talks about Mike Johnson. Of course, Putin, Tucker Carlson, Neville Chamberlain, because you gotta throw in a Churchill and Neville Chamberlain. You always gotta throw in a Churchill and Neville Chamberlain. You're either Chamberlain or you're Churchill. Churchill or Chamberlain. It's one of the two. Which one are you? Are you Churchill or are you Chamberlain? Some days I'm Churchill, some days I'm Chamberlain. The mustache man, of course, the mustache man and the axis of evil. Ah, that axis of evil. Oh, Xi Jinping is also in this article. Oh my God. The Lord of the Rings. Talk about projection, huh? I think Bloomberg's got it all backwards as far as as far as the eye and Mordor and Saruman, the Eye of Sauron and all of that. I think they have it backwards. Oh my God. Well, I've always said that all of this has a very cinematic feel to it, huh? It was only a matter of time until they brought in the Lord of the Rings. The cinematic feel. Because I'm thinking about the movie Lord of the Rings, not so much the book. We do have a Precious My Precious, don't we? We do have a Precious My Precious. Shmigal. Anyway, that's the video, everybody. TheDuran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and Twitter X. And go to the Duran shop. Look for limited edition merchandise. The link is in the description box down below. Take care.